Today I'm going to be looking at this video. It's called Amazing Places to Visit in Canada. So really interested to see this one. Obviously from the videos I've watched so far and just my general knowledge of Canada, I know it's an absolutely beautiful country. You know, I've seen photographs of the cities, I've seen pictures of the landscape and places like Niagara Falls. Obviously it's an absolutely breathtaking place with amazing geography and landscapes and just different locations around the country, but I'm really interested to know a bit more in depth about these places, potentially find out about places I don't know anything about, and yeah, just learn more. I'm going to be doing deeper dives into the cities and different locations around Canada, so recommend some videos about that. Or recommend some ideas of places you'd like me to learn more about. But today we're just going to be taking a general look at different places with this Amazing Places video. Let's check it out.
If you're looking for an amazing destination with beautiful scenery, lakes, lighthouses, mountains and valleys, Canada won't disappoint you. Visit a quiet town, a national park, or a wilderness area not far. Visit a quiet town, a national park.
Look at that place, that is absolutely stunning. I mean, that looks otherworldly. The colour of the water, the majestic mountains, the greenery, that kind of encapsulates what I would think a stereotype of Canada is. Absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. And I've got to say, I know it's just talking about why you visit Canada, but being from the UK, Canada is definitely somewhere that a lot of people love to travel. It's on a lot of people's wish lists to travel. A lot of people I know would absolutely love to go to Canada, and it's places like this is why.
Park, or beautiful scenery, lakes, lighthouses, mountains and valleys, Canada won't disappoint you. Visit a quiet town, a national park, or a wilderness area not far from a major city for a vacation filled with gorgeous views, northern lights, waterfalls, and fun outdoor adventures. Canada has it all. Let's take a look at the
I mean, just those last two frames alone.
Fun outdoor adventures.
That one is beautiful. Look at that.
Canada has it all. Let's take
in this
a look at the 10 best places to visit in Canada.
In the Northern
Number 1,
Lights.
Banff National Park.
That's where this is. I've never heard of this. Banff National Park.
Canada is famous for its beautiful landscapes. If you really enjoy nature, you can't miss the Banff National Park. The beauty of nature is all you will find in Canada's first national park, located in Alberta's Rocky Mountains. Incredible wildlife living in those Rocky Mountains, combined with big glacial lakes, form up a beautiful, breathtaking view you can't miss. Banff's park system allows you to do some hiking or enjoy the landscapes on a bike ride. You can also do a kayak ride. Don't miss the opportunity to be one with Canadian nature and visit this beautiful park on your next vacation.
Oh my lord, already? That is like a dream location. That has got to be one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and I knew nothing about it. I feel quite embarrassed that I knew nothing about that. But that is already on my bucket list. Like, some of the locations throughout that were just... It's hard to believe that's a real place. Tell me if you're from Canada, if you've been there. I know that sometimes when you're from a country, you don't actually go to like these beautiful places. I'm from Scotland, and it took me a long part of my life to actually visit like the Highlands and the beautiful locations around Scotland. If you're from Canada, have you made the journey to Banff National Park? If not, why not? It looks like I'd be straight on a plane there if I was in Canada, but already it makes me want to go there right away.
Number 2, Niagara Falls. These breathtaking waterfalls do not need too much introduction. You have probably heard about them before. Niagara Falls is one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the whole world, so you absolutely have to include it on your list when visiting the country. We assure you that you will enjoy these Canadian views, especially Horseshoe Falls, considered the most beautiful of these 3 falls.
Well, there's three
Number
falls.
3.
I never knew there was three falls, and I didn't realise it was so close to a city as well. Like, but for Niagara Falls, that's something even me being from Scotland, we learn about in primary school when we were really young children. When you're learning about these like different beautiful locations around the world, Niagara Falls is something I knew about from very young, and also knowing about it, like having friends who went there and things like that, getting souvenirs brought back. It's just one of these like iconic locations from anywhere in the world. Like, it's somewhere every single person will probably know about. And interesting to know more about Quebec as well.
Quebec City. It's the only fortified city in the North American continent north of Mexico. Stroll through the cobblestone streets and soak in the city's magnificent heritage, storied past, and European charm. Quebec City is one of the most enchanting places to see in Canada because of its many activities and attractions throughout the year.
Cool.
Visit the Citadel of Quebec, an active military installation with over 300 years of history.
Wow.
Relax at Battlefields Park, the site of fierce clashes between the British and French empires. Today, within the park's 255 acres, you'll find landscaped gardens, monuments, fountains, and riverfront views. Perched on a cliff top 60 meters above the St. Lawrence River,
I mean, you just got to stop and look at that. That is a fantastic building.
is the panoramic Dufferin Terrace. This 425-meter-long boardwalk is a marvelous setting for a stroll with spectacular views. Number 4.
I didn't know like Quebec was a fortified city with that wall surrounding it. That is history. Like, there's not much of that. For me, I don't really have much knowledge of North America, but I can imagine that must not be common. It must be almost unique. And when you see, that's one thing that interests me about Canada as well as a country. With these French speaking parts and these French areas, it looks like they really held on to their traditional architecture and traditional culture. I love that it's not been lost over time, and they really hold on to that. And like, when you see Quebec there, it really does look like a French town. France is another country I really love. My parents lived in France for a couple of years, and I love visiting there. I love French towns and French architecture and the French way of life, and to see that in a North American country and really have that heart of France is fantastic.
Toronto. Even though Canada is famous for its wildlife and natural landscapes, it also has some cool things to see in its cities. Try delighting yourself with some artworks in the Ontario's Art Gallery. You must visit the famous Hill House, an amazing piece of architecture built in 1903 by the business magnate Sir Henry Mill Palat. This historical house is
There's the Scotland flag, the lion rampant. What is this?
usually used as a museum. It has also been used many times as a set for the filming of movies and TV shows. It's totally worth taking a look at this creepy but fancy house. While exploring Toronto, you will find some interesting spots, like CN Tower. Next to Ontario's lake, you can find this famous tower, the most popular in the country. 553 meters high with a stunning 360-degree view, which will allow you to see the whole city from a panoramic view. Number 5.
And that one, I love to see that difference as well. You can really see the diversity in Canada. You can see that was more British influence. You see like more a modern city, which you would like associate with that American style city. Very modern, very clean architecture in the buildings, but still having that sort of British colonial buildings within it as well. But it's having both that French style and modern British American style as well, modern Canadian style in the same country is something that really stands Canada apart from like a lot of most other countries.
Ottawa. Canada has a lot to show, and its capital could not fall behind. While visiting Ottawa, you can delight yourself by its rich architecture, a mix of picturesque Gothic buildings with formalistic structure.
It looks so British as well.
Take a walk in their streets to enjoy the view of Parliament Hill, and other government buildings. There are multiple museums and art galleries you can find in Ottawa. Places like Laurier's House or Canada's War Museum have some artistic and historical pieces for you to discover. If you enjoy nature rather than city lights, take a walk by the Rideau Waterway, the oldest river in North America.
Wow.
This huge river is considered World Heritage, and it connects Ottawa City with Lake Ontario. Number 6.
Tell me more about Ottawa. I wasn't sure whether it was French or more French inspired or British inspired. Some of those buildings really reminded me of British buildings, but also some of them really reminded me of like that French style as well. But it's like things like a place like Ottawa is somewhere I really know nothing about. Of course, I've heard of like Montreal and Toronto, and I've seen like the cityscapes and landscapes of these cities. Ottawa is somewhere I never knew anywhere about, but even just that small snippet really interests me, and like it makes me just want to know more about it as well. Like when you see like that largest river in North America, I think it said, and how it's so well kept as well. It seems like every part of Canada has something interesting and unique about it. In British Columbia, again, somewhere I know the name, but I don't really know anything about. I mean, just that image itself looks fantastic.
Golden, British Columbia.
Jeez.
Located in the middle of 6 national parks, Golden is one of the most beautiful places to visit in Canada for outdoor and wildlife adventures.
Most beautiful in the world?
Summer activities here include hiking, rock climbing, mountain biking, paragliding, and even heli rafting. Be sure to visit Glacier Park, Yoho, and the Columbia Wetlands, located just south of the city. This is North America's longest protected wetlands and home to over 200 different species of birds and animals. If you're interested in wildlife, stop by the Grizzly Bear Refuge at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort. Make sure to pay a visit to its famous resident bear, Boo, or take a walk on the wild side with wolves at the Wolf Center. Number 7.
I've got to say, man, I am very envious of Canadians having all of this on their doorstep. I know Canada's a huge country, the second biggest in the world. So it's like not exactly on the doorstep, it's still a lot of travelling, but to have all this in one country, have such diversity of not just like people and cities, just the geography, it's just such an amazing place. Like you must be, people from Canada must be so proud to have this as their country.
Vancouver. Vancouver is meant to be experienced outdoors. Thanks to its temperate climate and abundance of rain, this city has its fair share of lush outdoor spaces, the largest among them being Stanley Park. If you're not up for strolling its nearly 1,000 acres, visit some of the city's other beloved outdoor attractions, like Queen Elizabeth Park or Van Dusen Botanical Garden. For a real thrill, take a walk across the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which hovers 230 feet above the Capilano River. When you're ready to refuel, you'll have your pick of delicious market eats at Granville Island and Lonsdale Quay. Number 8.
Okay, man, I've got to say, from these initial clips, Vancouver looks like the sort of place I would actually live. That's exactly the sort of place I would live as. An amazing, beautiful city with modern buildings, has some great nature, looks like very close to it, has these cool markets for food and things like that. That looks like it has everything I would look for, is somewhere to live. Tell me what you think about Vancouver as a livable city. Do you think it's the most livable city in Canada? Where else would you like recommend?
Jasper National Park. You cannot enjoy this country without visiting this park. Before you even get here, you will have already enjoyed one of the most beautiful views in the whole world by crossing the Icefields Parkways. There, you can gaze at the Athabasca Glacier and enjoy the views of various turquoise rivers. And if you're lucky enough, you'll be able to see a grizzly bear. Just not up too close.
These places
Another
are
impressive thing that characterizes Canada is the Northern Lights. In Jasper National Park, you'll be able to see the Northern Lights from May until September.
Well, quite long as well.
Number
Have you been
9.
there? Have you seen the Northern Lights if you're from Canada? That's something I've never seen, but it's always been something I wanted to do. To actually have that in your own country as well, man. Apart from everything else, is
the Northern Lights from May
quite
until
insane.
September. Number 9. Cape Breton Island. Located on the East Coast, Cape Breton makes for a great place for a road trip. One of the highlights of the island is the Cabot Trail, which is a 300-kilometer route through the Cape Breton Highlands National Park. Along the way, you'll be driving through a mix of terrain, including scenic coastal roads and hills. For those feeling adventurous, Cape Breton offers various hiking routes, including the Skyline Trail, which you could explore for epic views of rural Canada.
Jeez.
Number 10. St. John's. In Canada's far eastern province of Newfoundland and Labrador is the historic and friendly city of St. John's.
So
this is the main gateway
for
air travelers to the island of Newfoundland, but many people come simply to enjoy the city. Colorful buildings line the sloping streets that run along hills with views out over the harbor. The city also has numerous historic sites and attractions, including Signal Hill, George Street, and Cape Spear Lighthouse. But the real appeal is the vibrant atmosphere, the people, and the maritime culture that makes this city so unique from mainland Canada.
Yeah, this one in Nova Scotia, like, really seem to have their own very distinct personality, even compared to the other cities in Canada who all have different personalities. These ones really seem even more far removed from those other cities, and it's fantastic. This one really reminds me of Scotland. Like, there's some northern, there's a northern town in Scotland, what's it called, Tobermory. It has all these like colourful buildings as well. And even just the landscape and the look of the place reminds me of Scotland as well. Fantastic.
From the cosmopolitan streets of Toronto to the mountain peaks of the Canadian Rockies, Canada features a diverse set of vacation destinations. So, which one of these places in Canada are you planning to visit during your next holiday? Don't think too much. Just pack your bags and book your trip to Canada and try visiting each of the above listed places. If you enjoyed this video,
that is the definition of breathtaking. I can't actually find any other words to describe it. There's too many superlatives that could be used to describe it, but it's actually unbelievable. Like, I cannot believe Canada has so much different beautiful places. Like, it's really every type of geography, every type of city, every type of people you can find in Canada, but it's to the most beautiful degree. Like, for me personally, if I had to pick two things, I had to pick one to live and one to visit. Just based on this video, the place to live would be Vancouver. It looks like this sort of modern city that I would feel very comfortable living in. It has everything that I would require for me living there with a family and being happy and just having a lovely life. But the one that blew my mind was Banff National Park. It seems like more like a dreamlike place. Like, it seems like if you imagined the most beautiful utopian place that you could conjure in your mind to just go and just enjoy life, it would be that national park. It is just so majestic and beautiful, and imagine just kayaking down that big lake with that huge mountain just looking over you. It's actually making me feel my breath taken away just by watching this video on YouTube. Never mind actually being there. One day I'm going to make it there, definitely. But tell me what you think about all of these places. What's your favourite place in Canada? As a Canadian, have you travelled to all of these places? If not, why not? What's your favourite place in Canada if you're from Canada? Recommend some other videos, and if you want to subscribe, please go ahead. I appreciate it. Thanks.